Blessings guys, 𝐴𝑁𝐺𝐸𝐿𝑂'�'𝑆 with you. Welcome to my channel and my page. And of course today I'm here with you again, creating another spiritual vlog for you. So for those of you who know me, who already watched my previous videos, you probably already know more or less about me and who I am and what I do and why I create this mini vlogs. But for those of you who don't know me and this is your first time watching my blog, I'm 𝐴𝑁𝐺𝐸𝐿𝑂'𝑆. I'm a spiritual life coach and astrologer, and I use astrology and esoterical knowledge in the spiritual life coaching techniques in order to be able to help people and to find the most insightful guidance into the situations that they might be dealing with. But at the same time, one of the purposes why I started this vlog is because I also try to share on with my experiences along my path and my spiritual journey of the different life situations that I had encountered with. And that's why one of the reasons I'm doing this vlog today, I think is also going to be relevant, at least for some of you, or maybe even most of you, because today we're going to talk about the frequencies and the energy of relationship. So going through the internet and going through the different blogs of different bloggers and psychologists, parapsychologists, and esoterics, I noticed one thing, that a lot of people are trying to make the posts or try to create the blogs about the energy of relationship and why breakups can be painful, why breakups can be so difficult for some people, meanwhile for others it may not be that difficult, why for some people it may take months or even years to get over their partner, meanwhile for others it might take much less. So the difference here is, of course, in the sense of the frequencies and the energies that we all individually have. But let's go back to the beginning. So a lot of people, also my clients, have turned to me with some of these questions about the relationship aspect and about the energy of relationship, asking me to explain to them why sometimes relationship don't go the way that they want, or even though the relationship might have started in a really good way, but after some time they feel like their partner is kind of distant from them, or simply relationship get chaotic. And actually there is a very big Kabbalistic as well as a spiritual aspect behind it, a spiritual explanation behind it. But let's first break it down from the psychological aspect and the psychiatrical aspect, why relationship breakups can be so difficult or painful experiences. First of all, as the psychology and psychiatry explains to us, when two people come together and when they get to share their moments together, when they get to spend some more time together, and of course when there's an intimacy between them, of course this strongers and this makes their bond even stronger, which creates that very strong energy, and their frequencies get attached to each other, and because of this people become kind of like codependent on each other. It doesn't really necessarily happen to every couple, but most of the people who do experience those kind of things are usually, very interesting factor, are usually the people with traumatized past or childhood, with the traumatic experiences they have had in their childhood or in their past relationships. And unfortunately, sometimes when this kind of things happen, as we know, trauma tends to repeat itself, even though, let's say that some people had very bad traumatizing experiences in their previous relationship, or specifically in their childhood with their mother or with their father, it tends to somehow reflect on their relationship, on our relationship. So that's why the psychological and the psychiatrical aspect of breakups can be explained from that perspective, that because we have had so many traumatizing experiences in our childhood, or when we were growing up, or when we were younger, or with our first or the second main relationship that we had in our life, so that trauma is being stored in our subconscious mind, and at some point when we start getting involved into a new relationship, sometimes that trauma can actually affect our new relationship unless it is being healed or unless it is worked out. Which is again, it concerns more to the psychological and psychiatric aspect of the reason why the relationships can be complicated, and why when we end them it can be really painful, and some people can even experience very severe depression and may not get over those relationships for years or for a pretty while, long time I would say. But it's not only that. Actually, it's much deeper than that, to be honest with you, because this is only, as I told you, the rational explanation from the psychological and psychiatric aspect, but also there's a spiritual aspect that a lot of psychiatrists or psychologists do not take into consideration. And that's why I'm here today, to actually break that spiritual aspect of why relationship breakup can be so painful down for you. So first of all, we need to remember that each of us has our energetic centers, right? Our chakras, and mainly considering that we're talking about the relationship aspects, when two people meet, how they actually get attached to each other, or how they feel the sense of attraction. At this point, we're talking about the main two chakras out of all 7 main chakras that we have in our body, basically. And this is the Anahata, which is the heart chakra, or Svadhisthana, which is the sexual chakra. So when people's energy and when their frequencies actually match, so these two chakras get immediately activated, and we kind of feel that incredible attraction towards the person. And sometimes we may even get to have the sense of feeling that we've known them for years, as if it's just like very familiar soul to us or something like this. And it drives us, basically the activated chakras drives us to start taking more actions, or maybe even be more accessible towards the partner that we find attractive, right? So eventually what happens is this, because the frequencies of two people match, so this creates that incredible energy of attraction between them too. So what happens eventually, these people decide to come together, decide to get to know each other better, decide to share with their habits, with their experiences of life, and eventually they most of the time end up being in relationship. And this is the first phase of the relationship, where actually things can be so euphoric, things can feel so surreal, so beautiful, when they feel those butterflies in our stomach, when they feel like, oh my God, finally we found that soulmate, or that one partner who's created for us, which actually might be quite false feeling, to be honest with you, because this is only based on the first level of the relationship when we start the relationship aspect, right? So we only see the good in partner. We actually sometimes might even not notice the red flags, even if the partner has it, because we're being so hypnotized by that activated chakras energy that keep us always in that sense of euphoria, that we sometimes manage to miss those red flag signs, which is actually quite normal thing to be honest with you, specifically on the first level of the relationship, when there's a strong attraction from both people, because their energetical frequencies just really match and align so much. But then what happens is this: why this nice and beautiful and almost perfect, as we thought at first sight, relationship starts declining and why everything starts breaking down, and eventually one of the partners can end up being codependent on the other one, and once felt euphoric, beautiful, magical feeling of love, satisfaction, happiness, and joy eventually turn to be nothing more than a hell, eventually turn into a very torturing, very painful, unpleasant experiences and feelings that actually last longer, that we can feel with every cell of our body. And there is a reason behind it. And again, here we are going back to the same subject we spoke right at the beginning of the vlog, and this is about specifically about people with unhealed, traumatized, let's say that consequences with unhealed traumas that they have had since their childhood, or experience in their first or the second important or very influencing them relationship, right? So what happens is this: now after some time people spend together, usually that trauma starts getting activated by the certain triggers that our partner may start showing us, even though they may not do it, on purpose. Some of those triggers are just stored in our subconscious mind because they are deeply related to the sense of the trauma, and our partners may not be aware of it, don't forget about it. So they may not actually know what those triggers are, and what those red flags are about us, even ourselves, and they may just behave naturally. Let's say that two people meet and they are feeling happy and everything is good with them, but one of them seems to be, or turns out to be, more freedom loving, and they love their own space, they love spending more time with their friends, they love spending more time with their family members, without any intentions of neglecting their partner. But somehow the people who have had the abandonment issues in their childhood or in their previous relationship, which turned into a traumatic experience because of the triggers. And when that person sees those little signs that in their opinion, oh, if this person does not want to spend more time with me, or if they prefer spending more time with their friends, families, or the people out of the relationship, it means they are now getting distant, or they are now becoming cold to me, and it means they want to leave me. So this is that subconscious trigger that starts getting activated immediately. So what happens when these things happen, our energy starts scattering. In other words, to say, the energetic balance between our chakras start getting shattered, which can cause eventually one of the people, specifically one of the partners, and the one who is more traumatized or who has traumatizing experiences in their past, basically forget about themselves and get completely emotionally and mentally codependent on the other partner, which basically that person becomes almost obsessive. They start getting almost like OCD about this relationship. They fear the sense of the loss. They fear the sense of abandonment, and eventually they start doing everything in their hand to keep up the attraction of the partner as much as they can. And sometimes, even without knowing it, without being aware of that themselves, they start ruining the relationship this way, because the partner, meanwhile, doesn't understand what's going on, because even on their mind, they had never an idea of abandoning or neglecting the partner. It's just after some time, we know that the euphoria in the relationship kind of calms down, and the relationship becomes routine, right? So at that point, when the partners have already got to know each other better, so they already have that enough sense of the trust in each other, they also tend to live their lives and going out and hanging out with their friends, with their families, but without any intention of leaving each other, because they already know that they know this person standing in front of them. They know this person that they're sharing their life and their experiences with. But however, if we're talking about somebody who's with a traumatic experiences in their past, as I mentioned earlier, for that partner, things may seem quite different, as they look at the situation from a complete different perspective at this point, unfortunately. So what happens is this: eventually the partner who with a traumatic background starts doing their best and neglecting their own interests. They get completely obsessed with their partner who is just trying to live and go along with their life, and just getting on with their life and meeting their friends and just spending more time with them as well. And what happens is this: at this point, the frequency of the traumatized person start going down, because now what happens is that we switch from ourselves, from our freedom, completely onto the other person, which means that we forget ourselves and we get completely melted down in the other person. And that is the number one big mistake to make, because this is when actually the chakra energies start going disbalanced. So as a consequence, of course, this starts annoying the other partner, because the other partner doesn't have a clue, and he doesn't understand, or she doesn't understand what's really going on. And then this causes a lot of conflicts, arguments, a lot of accusations from the other side of the partner, who starts blaming them that they want to leave them, that they're scared that they're gonna leave them, they're gonna abandon them, because they tend to no more spend time with them like they used to do before. No, the only reason why it's happening is because that partner has already, the healthy partner, let's say that, without that much of a traumatic experiences in their background, have now understood and have now enough sense of a trust in their other partner. But unfortunately, because the triggers got activated immediately because of the past experiences of the traumatized partner, now the traumatized partner is all over the place. So what happens is this: at this point, the actions, even irrational actions, subconscious actions based on the traumatic behavior, starts pushing actually away the other partner, and the person doesn't understand why it's happening. Why are you becoming distant? Why do you feel suffocated? But it's because when we first met, let's not forget that when we first got to have that sense of euphoric energy, or euphoric experience, euphoric sensation from the relationship, it was because we were both independent individuals, and we both had our own frequencies that we were sharing, which actually attracted both people together, and that's why I ended up rebuilding up that foundation of relationship. But now that our frequencies are drastically falling and going down, and the frequencies of the other person is still staying in the same level, so subconsciously their energies also started pushing us away because they don't recognize the same partner like that they met before. They don't recognize their energy anymore. So what happens? It turns into a very big turn off for the other partner. So the more traumatized partner with the lower frequencies making any effort or investing a bit more efforts into trying to maintain and save the relationship, the more it is pushing away the other partner. And that's because basically those activated chakras on both sides, specifically on the side of the traumatized partner, start getting blocked by those negative energies. So eventually it can cause the breakup. It can cause a very unpleasant emotions. And because there's also the sense of intimacy shared between the partners after so long time that they've been together, so which means that actually our sexual chakra is also aligned with the sexual chakra of our partner. Now when we don't get enough of that intimacy, it also causes us becoming very obsessive and dependent on the other partner, which actually turns this relationship into an unbearable experience for the other or healthy partner with less of a or none of a traumatized experiences in their past. So that's why it's always very important before jumping into any relationship, making sure that you don't carry your baggage of your previous traumatic experiences with you into the relationship. Otherwise, this cycle tends to repeat itself over and over again. And that's why it's very important to make sure that you close all your unclosed gestalts, or in other words to say, you sort out all your traumatic experiences from your childhood or from your previous relationship, so that you don't get to fall into the trap of those fake triggers that in your opinion might be a sign that your partner is pushing you away or your partner is no longer interested in you. So that's why you become codependent. And the more codependent you become, the more likely you are gonna push that partner away. Because again, you gotta go always when you start feeling this kind of things happening to you, or always when you start feeling that you're falling into that trap of the subconscious triggers, remember, just take a second, take a couple of deep breaths, exhale, inhale and exhale, and then go back to the first moments of the relationship and try to remember that the reason why your relationship actually worked out and why you guys got together was because you were both individual, you had your own interest, and you were still living your life like this. So like you were not like this, you were not melting in each other, but you were going down the life path like this. Each of you has their personality, each of you has their individuality, and each of you has their lives. Whereas eventually something happened and those fake traumatizing triggers made you actually neglect your own interests, neglect your own emotional needs, neglect your own, let's say, that energetic frequencies, and completely switch onto your partners, and you started neglecting your own spiritual or emotional or mental growth, being completely codependent on your partner. This is, of course, never usually going to end up in a good way. And that is one of the biggest reasons of the failed relationship, in the partnership where one of the partners has a lot of traumatic experiences from their past. And that's why I always recommend that before you jump into a relationship, you need to sit down and understand what are your traumatic experiences from the past, so that you don't bring those traumatic experiences into your new relationship. Otherwise, you will just keep on repeating the same cycle over and over again. And the best way, and one of the best and easiest ways of actually avoiding this kind of mistakes, avoiding falling into the tricks of that subconscious fake triggers, is meditation, is always maintaining your self-individuality, is always maintaining your interests and going along the life with your own interests and with your own, let's say, that hobbies and your boundaries. It is always important in a healthy relationship to have boundaries, because when you have boundaries, you eventually, I promise you, none of you will get codependent on the other person, and this way you're going to be able to build up your healthy relationship. So codependency only starts happening when we fall into those fake triggers of our subconscious mind from the previous traumas that we experienced in our life, and then not only starts affecting us psychologically, as I explained at the beginning of the video, but it also starts affecting us spiritually, because our vibrations and our frequencies start messing out and they start going down drastically, and then the energy of the other person simply does not recognize these new low vibrations, because when they first met you, the vibrations were completely different. The vibrations were much more attractive. They were a lot more higher. They were like on the highest level, and now all of a sudden, when the vibrations of the other side is maintaining on the same level, or even maybe growing because they keep on working on themselves and still living their life, and your vibrations are going down, it causes a chaotic experience in the relationship. It creates that energetic chaos, which turns actually into nothing more than nothing less than a torture in the relationship that usually ends up in a very bad and unpleasant way. So that's why the first thing first, what you have to do, you always need to protect your own position and respect your own boundaries and set your own boundaries, because setting boundaries is very important in healthy relationship. Number two, always meditate. Keep meditation or any other spiritual activities that you're interested in on your everyday, and include them into your everyday life routine. So this will always help you to keep the focus on yourself without completely melting energetically or physically or mentally in your partner, which means that your partner and you, both of you, will be going down the path of life equally. You will still maintain your vibrations and your high frequencies regardless of anything, even though both of you will be having their lives and their interests and their activities. But yet again, as long as the frequencies and the energy is going to be on the high level, this will maintain the healthy energy in the relationship. So guys, I hope that this mini vlog somehow you found it interesting, or maybe even some of you have had experienced those kind of unpleasant experiences in your life before with your previous relationship, or even in your childhood at some point. So if you did, I want you to share with me how you managed to get out of it, how you managed to fix this if you were able to, how you were able to actually switch the energies back, and what did you understand from this vlog for yourself. Feel free to leave a comment under my video, and if you found this video, feel free to put the like for me, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for weekly spiritual content that you will have from me. Stay well, guys.